Welcome to Master the Game. I'm Juice, and today we're going to be talking about a few of the new Pathfinder Second Edition books. We're probably going to talk a little bit about Nexus as well. So I kind of want to jump into that first, just because I personally think that is the most interesting news coming out of Paizo and also out of Demiplane. So a few years back, when D&D Beyond first started, I had interviewed Adam Bradford about that. And Adam Bradford, in case you guys don't know, he is the Chief Development Officer over at Demiplane for all of these wonderful things, including Nexus for Pathfinder. From what it looks like and sounds like, is Nexus is going to be Pathfinder's answer to what D&D Beyond is. And I've already seen a lot of fans, and by a lot I mean just a vocal minority, who are like, oh, you don't need to get it, because of, Armor of Nethys, and, because basically Paizo puts the stuff out for free through Armor of Nethys and all of that stuff. Now, I will say this. As somebody who uses D&D Beyond, I have a lot of the D&D books, I can honestly say that D&D Beyond is invaluable to me. I can make characters extremely quickly. I can look things up very quickly, and it's been a great tool for me at my table, and it's been great for my players, because that's the other thing. I can share it with people who don't own all the books as well. Some of the other cool stuff in D&D Beyond is I can create custom things and put it in there. I don't know if that's going to be possible with Nexus. I would assume there will be some kind of option like that, especially since you have the new Paizo Infinity program. And so it would only make sense that you could just, put in your homebrew stuff as well. Now, I did watch Aaron Shank, his interview with Adam Bradford. Aaron Shank, in case you guys don't know, he is in charge of the social media and promotions and marketing of Pathfinder and Paizo products, including Starfinder and things like that. And it was like a 16, 17-minute video. He let Adam kind of just discuss the 4 pillars, the deadline. I think he asked him when the deadline was, and things like that. So the 4 pillars that Adam had mentioned was they wanted to empower the rules, because again, we all know Pathfinder is a crunchier game system, and because of that, they want to add convenience. They want to make it so you can quickly look things up if you're in the middle of something and you have a question. So speed should give you an easy access to the rules and the options. They also want to make it quick and simple for you to get the knowledge of the options for what you're doing. They mentioned that the character experience, because of the depth of the characters between the feats and classes and heritages and all of that, they wanted those things to be, again, easy to navigate. And you can quickly get a nice overview of those things in the selection process. And, managing your characters, they wanted to have a very good, easy, intuitive character management experience as well. And with that would come what rules you want to allow and not allow, whether it's from the Game Mastery Guide and things like that. They said they wanted to facilitate gameplay. And because of the way that they've built their website, and again, I'm not familiar with Demiplane at all. It sounds like they do a lot of player finder things. They have voice and video options within their system, and it sounds like they want to really capitalize on that for Nexus with Pathfinder, and that's something you don't have right now with D&D Beyond, for example, for D&D. So that sounds kind of interesting, the fact that it already have that in there. Now, that's not a virtual tabletop, but that is, allowing you to basically do everything you want there except for the tokens and miniatures and maps. They again, building on the thing I just said about how their back end is about player finders and things like that, they want to also do community connecting, connecting the community. And they want to do it through, again, their forums and stuff like that. They want to highlight, their own streams as well, which Adam and them used to do over with D&D Beyond all the time. And that's still a staple of what they do there at D&D Beyond. So Demiplane, though, different company, again, is doing some things similarly to how Adam did it when he was over there. And so I'm not surprised, it was Adam's baby over there, and now he's come over to this new company. Obviously, it hasn't launched yet. They do have some stuff on the site, which we'll look at in a moment. But the deadline, they had said, was this winter. And so Adam joked saying, well, I guess that means March 15th is his deadline, somewhere around there. And then right now, though, there's early access to the digital reader. So again, I think this is pretty interesting. And, we can go check that out right now. So let me pull up the website. That is not the website. Just give me 2 seconds to pull this up. Right here. Boom. All right. So we got the website here. Welcome to Pathfinder Nexus. The official digital toolset for Pathfinder is on the way. Create an account to dive into the free Pathfinder primer or pre-order additional Pathfinder books for early access to the content in the digital compendium now. Be sure to join the discussion in our forums and share your feedback to help shape the future of Pathfinder Nexus. So I will be setting up a username on the forums and digging into that. But you can see right here, the digital reader is in early access. Compendium listings are coming soon, and then the character management as well. This, I think, is going to require quite a bit. Just because, again, Pathfinder is a deep system with lots of options and lots of prerequisites to get, to the different feats and different things like that. So, yeah, and then you got the archetype. So it'll be interesting to see how it all works, but I think this is going to be an amazing tool. Adam wrote The Adventure Begins on October 26th, and then Classic Megan wrote The Frequently Asked Questions. So we'll get into that here in a second, but I just want to scroll through this whole page. Right here, pre-order for early access. I'm just curious. I'm just going to click it and see what pre-ordering looks like. I don't plan on pre-ordering this right now. Okay. So when you go in, the Pathfinder primer is free. Core rulebook in here is $30. Bestiary, $29.99. So yeah, 30, 30, 30. Advanced Player's Guide, 30. So everything's pretty much 30. And it has what I feel are the core rule books here. I do consider Secrets of Magic, Guns and Gears really part of the core. And the Advanced Player's Guide. And yeah, so those are, in my opinion, the most important books right there, if you are a Pathfinder fan. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay, we'll come back over to that. Close out the other. Let's see, what else do they have on the site? So if I go up, we can check out these articles. Let's look at the frequently asked questions, and then we'll just open this in a new tab as well. So frequently asked questions. So these look like they might be over. This looks like it might be on their forum. I don't know. It's a different color and setup here, so this is interesting. And I also wonder if they're going to end up adding Starfinder to the to Demiplane as well as part of Nexus. That would be interesting. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to click through all this and read it, but you can see all the questions here. A lot of questions here. Probably should have done a little bit more research before I got on here. But that's okay. Can I download a digital source book? Now that I've got it, will I receive receipt? I already own a physical copy of this book or own a copy on Paizo.com. Why should I buy it through Pathfinder Nexus? Great question. In addition to the official book you know and love, Pathfinder Nexus also includes digital tools that enhance play. Global search, an easy-to-navigate digital reader, compendium game element listings, a character builder, and interactive character sheets, and a fully integrated gameplay experience through Demiplane. Plus, by connecting your Paizo account with Pathfinder Nexus, you get a significant discount on purchasing books you already own. Interesting. Interesting. So you can sync up both the Paizo.com and Pathfinder Nexus accounts. I think that's going to be a big deal, actually. That'll be a really big deal. I wonder if you're like a subscriber, if you'll then get access to Nexus material when it comes out. At this time, Nexus supports second edition only. Okay. I saw the question. That's the only reason I decided to open that one up. We are thrilled to share that we have partnered with Paizo multi-year licensing agreement to create Pathfinder Nexus, the official digital toolset and game companion for the award-winning Pathfinder tabletop role-playing game. Okay. Well, I think that's interesting. All right, let's look at Adam's thing here. So phase 1, 2, and 3, which I had discussed already. We appreciate your interest. If you're a Pathfinder fan, you likely understand that much of the game's success hinges upon one crucial element, playtesting. We want to take that same path as we set out on this journey, so your feedback during early access is essential to making Nexus everything we want it to be. Okay. It talks about some of the things that are available. Now it's time for us to cast this ritual, but the secondary casters are all you. That's funny. All right. And yeah, then, so this is the forums. Interesting. So yeah, I'm going to have to get in on that. So yeah, that's kind of the deal with Nexus. I mean, it is what it is. You can get the free primer, pre-order it, check out the forums. I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. I personally, though, again, I think having the digital tool set is worth it. I use D&D Beyond all the time. If you're somebody who plays a ton of Pathfinder with a couple different groups, even just one group, having a group just pool together their money to do all of the stuff for Nexus is probably going to be worth it. You're going to be able to use it at the table. I personally allow my players to make their characters with D&D Beyond. It allows me to share homebrew stuff and all sorts of things. I'm assuming Nexus is going to be the same thing for Pathfinder fans. So again, I do think it's going to be worth it. So yeah, that's kind of my take on that. Now, I've been getting some books. I've got these 3 I wanted to talk about tonight. So I got, Secrets of Magic, Grand Bazaar, and Guns and Gears here. If you've read these, feel free to let me know what you think. I have a lot of stuff I'm in the process of reading, and life in general is pretty hectic right now. I've been applying for a lot of jobs. But this book, I've read a little bit of it, and I will say I couldn't tell what changed necessarily from the classes in the playtest to this. But I can definitely say the write-up and the lore in the beginning of this book is fantastic. Reading about the different magics and how they work within the world and stuff was really interesting. So again, just for the lore alone, I think this book is worth it. It gave me a lot of ideas for my own homebrew stuff, because I play a lot of games in my own homebrew world, and so I like to I really like to read these books for inspiration more than anything. But yeah, the class stuff that you get, the new spells you get, all really cool. Again, I think it's a really, really great book. But yeah, do you guys like the Magus and the Summoner in here? Do you think that they made it better since the playtest? Because I couldn't tell really much of a difference at all. So I think the spell casting, like slots and everything, still work the same as the playtest. And that was like my big gripe about it, was I didn't like the tiered spell slots. I want to say they added maybe a couple things too, like a couple feats. But I don't remember. It was a long time ago when I looked at the playtest. So, and I haven't played any of the characters out of here, so it's hard for me to really say anything about like the new classes and how they play at the table. I don't get a lot of chances to play Pathfinder, unfortunately. Let's go into the magic items. Let's see, because I have not spent a lot of time looking at those. I will say when we get to the Grand Bazaar, I love that book. Grand Bazaar is a really cool book. And when it comes to just items in general, Grand Bazaar, I think, hit it out of the park. Dang, it's taking a while to go through the spells. Do. There we go. All right, so you got creating a magic item, rules for things like that. Well, not rules, but write-ups on that. And then you get into, obviously, the list by levels. Okay. Yeah, nope. Grimoires. Oh, yeah, the Grimoires. Okay. It's been a minute since I looked at this, too. It's been, a few weeks, because I've been looking at Guns and Gears and Grand Bazaar and some of the other books I've ordered recently. Yeah, Grimoires are cool. Magical tattoos. Personal staves. Spell catalysts. Spell hearts. Consumables. The dispersing bullet. That looks cool. Dragonbone arrowhead. That looks awesome. Yes, at least the art of it does. Ooh, look at this art. Look at that, guys. Isn't that great? This book is really cool. I love the art in Pathfinder books. Very nice. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys like this book? Do you have questions? Permanent items. Ooh, a sword that's all shattered. What is that? Is that the blade of 4 energies? What is this? I don't know what that is. That's cool. Cathartic magic. Elementalism. There's a lot to take in here. Hey, you still got monk stuff. Cool. Book of Unlimited Magic. Yeah. So anyways, again, I think this is cool. Pick it up if you want to read about how magic really works in the world. You get some good lore in the beginning of the book. You do get the new classes. You get a bunch of new spells, and I mean a bunch. You get a bunch of magic items, and then the Book of Magic in the end, which, again, I think is pretty cool. Book of Unlimited Magic. My bad. But yeah, that's a cool book. Definitely recommend it. That's my plug for that. Now, I'm going to talk about these two real quick. I'm going to start with Guns and Gear. So similar, I read this a lot the first few days after it came out. I thought it was really cool. There's some things I love in this book. So I really wanted more. When the playtest came out for this, for Guns and Gears, I was hoping we would get some kind of options for like someone who specializes with a gun blade, not a gun in one hand and a sword in another, but an actual gun blade build. And we didn't get that, unfortunately. So that's still one thing that I'm a little bummed out about. Now, they did include some different gun blades in this book, but there's not really any feats about it or anything like that, unfortunately. So I'm just going to have to create my own gun blade class, I think, is what it comes down to. Some of the equipment's really cool in this book. If you're one of those people that has a problem with the battle wheelchairs and stuff, you're not going to like this book. Well, it's not that you're not going to like this book, but because it's still got a lot of cool stuff in here. But it does have some of those wheelchairs, which I personally think is cool. Hell, I would use it even without having a handicapped character, just because I think it's cool. But yeah, they do have some stuff like that. You got the new inventor class. So you got some cool stuff in here. But to me, the equipment section's really awesome. That's personally my favorite. And there's a lot of stuff like that in here. And then again, if you enjoyed the playtest of this, I couldn't tell much of a difference again from the playtest to this. I don't know what they changed. I can't even begin to tell you. If you know, feel free to mention it in the comments or in the chat. They got like these golems now that I feel like they had it in the playtest as well, but I don't remember real well because, again, I didn't spend a lot of time on the inventor. But they look pretty cool in here. Gears character options. The automaton, thank you, is pretty interesting. So you got like this new robot thing. And there's some cool art for some of them, like the sharpshooter automaton is cool looking. The warrior. So I really love just martial characters in general. That's why I wanted the gunblade option. But like this warrior automaton looks perfect as like a knight, obviously. So yeah, there's some cool stuff in here. New backgrounds, of course. You're going to get all this in almost every new Pathfinder player book. You're going to get new backgrounds, new ancestries, new classes, new feats, new spells, new all sorts of stuff. But yeah, if you want to, if you do homebrew stuff and you have a lot of tech in your world, this is going to be a good book for you. Guns and Gears is going to be awesome. If you're somebody who steers clear of tech, you might not want this book unless you want to worry more about like traps and gears and maybe like steampunk style stuff. You could incorporate that. You probably will want to avoid the gun aspect and things like that. Speaking of which, so here is a really cool chair, cool art. Love that. But yeah, they have a section in here that is like things like that. The grappling gun, which is cool. Gadgets, chameleon suit. Yeah, there's some cool ones there. Blast boots, clockwork goggles, siege weapons. You're finally getting siege weapons, so again, you'll want that. This for that probably. Siege tower, snares and hazards. We'll do a flip through of these books over the next few weeks. So if you pay attention to the channel and subscribe, on Fridays we will be doing flip throughs. The Mwangi Expanse should be up this week. We will then go into Guns and Gears, Secrets of Magic the following, and then Grand Bazaar. Because and we'll continue to do that as as books come in, just because I know you guys like to see previews of these things if you haven't bought them yet. But yeah, vehicles. So we're getting into some vehicles here. A snail coach, which is like a train kind of thing that can ride up like walls and stuff. You got like these like automaton horse creatures. Apparatus of the octopus. Really cool looking. Ooh, I love that art. I love how Valeros is holding a gun right there too. Because I don't think he's actually able to do that. I don't think he has proficiency with guns. But yeah, so then it gets into the classes. So then you get the gunslinger, and it's got the dwarf woman who is the iconic for that. And then like we said earlier, you got the inventor, who is the orc, the half orc. Backgrounds, archetypes, beast gunner. The art again is great in here. I want to get to the equipment that had the wheelchairs and stuff. So here's the inventor and the gunslinger together. That's a nice piece of art. That would actually make for a really cool poster, I think, right there. I just like that. The color, the tone. It's a rich piece. Darker piece, which I'm all for. Look at this slide pistol. It's like got, what, 5 or 6? 5 shots at once. That's cool. Breath Blaster, which is a blunderbuss. A Drake rifle. So you got a lot of things that look like... Look at those guns and stuff. Those are cool. Currently living somewhere that it's hard to get the books in a timely manner, so I might really like these features. Oh, so if you are in a place where books are going to be hard to get, Nexus might be perfect for you here in a couple months. They have the early access now. But being able to buy it just digitally and just use it all quickly in the software is going to be awesome. Yeah, this is great. This is a beautiful book. There's a lot of really cool things in here. I do want to play a gunslinger. I do. I want to play Pathfinder. Unfortunately, I'm always the GM when I run like Pathfinder or something else. So I haven't even had a group to sit down and play it recently. It's been a few months. And who knows, I may end up having like no availability here soon. I've been applying, like I said, to a lot of jobs. So most of them actually happen to be like second shift, unfortunately. More siege stuff, tools and accessories. The rotating gear. I must have overlooked it, but there's things in here about the like battle wheelchairs and stuff, which is pretty cool. I like that they include it. This is the art that they showed at Gen Con a year ago, I think. I like that piece. That's another really cool piece. Large golems or automatons or whatever. Cannons and naval battles, fireworks. Again, really good lore in here. So, again, they did a good job, I think, with both of these books, with the lore and stuff. So, again, the gear is really awesome in this. I really like the gadgets and things like that. And then if you want a ton more spells, you're going to get them right here. But the lore, I think, is probably my favorite part to just sit there and read. So now the last thing I'm going to talk about is Grand Bazaar. So we do not have like an ultimate equipment book or anything like that. But this is, for me, I feel like this is more like that. Although it gives you lore about the shops in the Grand Bazaar, which I believe is in Absalom. It's like the shopping area of Absalom. And you get like a bunch of NPC information, all the different shops. It shows you, yeah, this is like the area. It's all just a bunch of tents that are selling stuff. So it's really cool. You got them all numbered on this map. So, you know, you can jump around and figure out who's where. And then you can just make up your own shops out of the remaining tents because there's a heck ton of them. But then each shop has its own items. And they have like a theme in most of them. So again, they're really cool. And this has been a fun book to just kind of browse through, I feel like. I have not read like cover to cover any of these three books. The one I probably have read the most, but it was the longest ago, was Secrets of Magic, where I just started reading it and I really enjoyed it. Guns and Gears, I sat there and again, I browsed it more. Kind of looked at some of the classes just to see if I could tell what changed. I couldn't tell. This book, I've browsed. I've read a couple of the shops, but just really looked at some of the different items and things like that. And again, you've got the clockwork items of this one clockwork guy. That was a cool one. It's called the Clockwork Caravan. So that's a cool one. Off the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank, but there were a few others I really, really liked. Sensory wares. The thing I really like about Pathfinder is if you have a group that gets excited about new equipment, weapons, gear, magic items, whatever, Pathfinder is really great for those kinds of players. And then I know people out there are like, oh, that's because they're optimized. It has nothing to do with optimizing. Some people just get excited about new flavorful equipment and gear. And I personally am one of those people. I love getting something new to use. I'll use a halberd in combat 1 minute, and the next minute I'll use a sword or an axe just to mix it up and to get, different, flavor in my, role-playing combat and things like that. So I really like that you really get a ton of options in here for things like that. You got a shot. Is this yeah, this is Kitten Slumber, where they have a bunch of different familiars and animals and stuff like that. Kraken's Ink Tattoo, where you can go and get tattoos. So that's cool. And other wares. Kraken's Guard. Lost and Found. Eclectic Treasures. Dinosaur Boots. Pillow Shield. Psychic Brigandine. And Singularity Ammunition. The Mask and Moon. So you can see he looks like a chef. So that's a cool one. And yes, he sells alchemical things and food. And Dragon's Blood Pudding. Material Changes. It's like clothing and stuff. Shade hat, stuff like that. So again, to me, this is kind of like your ultimate equipment guide. Animal Companions from the Menagerie. Interesting. Mary Gleam. So these are like a bunch of goblin-owned places now. Oh, yeah, you get dolls and stuff in here now. So that's cool. I think you even get some... Yeah, you get puppets. Or I'm sorry, poppets. Which is like a new ancestry that's basically like a Raggedy Ann doll. So I guess if you wanted to recreate like Chucky, you could do stuff like that. But they got different ones, right? So those are cool. This one looks really fun. That is called the Wishborn Poppet. You have a Ghost Poppet. I don't know anything about poppets, though. But yeah, a wind-up poppet, which is just a wind-up toy. You could, like, recreate Toy Story with these. Like, you could just play a campaign where, like, everyone's a poppet. And it basically means, like, your whole campaign is that, yeah, you guys belong to a rich, noble child. And when he's looking at you, you need to freeze. And maybe you get, like, a really high... it's really easy to make it. So it's like a difficulty 5 or something. But yeah, that would be fun. All right. So Moorhen's Mobility Apparel. So this is the one that's got different prosthetics and stuff. So you can get crutches, a cane, hearing aid, knee support, prosthetic legs, reading rings, basic chairs, traveler chairs. So you can get all of this stuff in here. The wheelchair adventurer, the leg chair. So these, you know, again, I think this is really cool. Adds a lot of flavor. And honestly, I know people are like, well, in a world with magic, you wouldn't need, you know, these kinds of aids. But yes, you would. Like, even our own real world, we have the means to outfit anyone missing a limb with prosthetics. We have the money, the technology, and everything to to treat all these things and give them the aids they need. And for a lot of people, they can't even afford some of these things. So, again, yes, in a magical world, you would probably still need these things. But yeah, these are really cool. Immovable arm, which I assume is kind of like an immovable rod. Yeah. The flat iron bar of an immovable rod has been worked into the core frame of this prosthetic arm. That is so great. So great. Reclaimed Paradise, owned by what looks like a orc. Interesting. Has a boat, has this other weird vehicle thing over here. So that's cool. The Mepronomicon. Welcome, buddy. He says Ragamuffin. Is that like your character's name or something? Relics and Remembrance. Oh, these are great. Sarkorian God Caller Garb. That looks pretty epic right there. Seeing disability accessories excites me. Dude, in Guns and Gears and in Grand Bazaar, they have them. So you've got all sorts of stuff like that. And they flavored them up. Like that one I was just reading is the immovable arm. Like your guy can wear a prosthetic arm and just leave it there. Like, you know, that's awesome to me. Absolutely awesome. I love the employees at Paizo. They come with some brilliant ideas. The Resplendent Rose. Musical merchandise. Oh, yeah. So this, again, a lot of potential here. They give you some things. You can create your own stuff to go in these little stores, too. Wand of Thundering Echoes. Prismatic Plate. Oh, these are great. Harmonic Hauberk. I don't know what a hauberk is. The Rune Room. So this one's like the back of a ship. That's like the store. It's called the Rune Room. And then you get runes for your accessories. Summit and Sundry. There's a lot of like monster style races that are in charge of all these businesses. This is again another orc, I think. So Summit and Sundry is an adventurer's haven, community service. Portable ram, air bladder, folding ladder, smoke goggles, swarm suit, wheelbarrow. Tessiovinsku's warehouse. So he looks kind of like a Dampier of some sort. I can't tell. I'm assuming he's a Dampier, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Sky metals. So Absium armor, Abyssium, Jezit Dotes. I don't know what all this stuff is. Inubrix axe. Yeah, very cool stuff. Man, this is a big section. Then you get to the Unscathed Blade. Now, he looks kind of like an Oread or just a really big dude. I can't quite tell. But he's massive. I love seeing them, and yes, that's a great point to make. We have the capabilities in our world to outfit people. Why not fantasy? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, just because they have magic doesn't mean that they wouldn't, again, charge an arm and a leg. Like, I don't mean that in a joke, but, literally charge a lot of money for prosthetics, making it, or for their magic, I should say, in that world. Just like in our world, we charge ridiculous amounts for medicine that would save lives because we're about profit. So you'd have the same thing in that world. Ragamuffins were in the Fiend Folio or Monster Manual 2, I think, in 3.5 as construct-like animated objects. Okay, yeah, I never owned the Fiend Folio. So the Fiend Folio is a book I want to own. I want to go and buy that someday. So I'll probably get that at some point. But yeah, I never had the Monster Manual or anything for 3.5. I never played 3.5. I played AD&D, and then I played Pathfinder. So yeah, that was... I should not have said charge an arm and a leg. I did not mean to... That's just a figure of speech, damn it, and I use it a lot in normal talking. But yeah, so this big guy's armor and weapons shop is kind of cool. Dragon's Crest shield, burnished plating, shield augmentation, twining chains. Those are some cool pieces right there. All of which make me want to buy those things. Well, maybe not the shield augmentation, but the augmentation can apply to other shields, I think. Yeah, modifying shields. So all these things, it looks like, are to modify those, right? Maybe? Yes. So those are all modifications you make to those. Same thing with the weapons. So this guy, modifies your gear. Fanged. Sky Rider Sword. It's a +2 greater striking shock greatsword. Okay, that's just a straight up sword then. Magic allows the weapon to soar. Item 14 plus. Does that mean 14th level plus? That must mean that. Interesting. Level 19. Price 32,000 gold. You're dead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Urban Garden Jewelers. So it's run by a Leshy. Leshies are cool. Crown of the Fire Eater. Ooh, look at that. The thing about these shops is just reading them, to me, makes me want to come up with my own stuff. Ooh, this art doesn't look like it goes with the rest of the book. Look at these pieces. They just look like they don't fit the rest of the art style. Something's off about them. Back alley shops. Okay, so these are all just little paragraphs about each one. So there's a bunch of different ones that they just list off. Just a couple paragraphs. Interesting. But yeah, so reading these, though, can inspire so many cool ideas that you could just go and be like, all right, this makes me want to come up with this item and this item and this item. I don't know if they're doing level-based items, but in some of the items, it does mention a level. Or next to the item, it has a number, like item 0, 1, 7, 9, 9. Two of them are 9 there. So I'm assuming they're doing something, but then when you read underneath, some of them don't have a section that says level, others do. So I don't know. But then there's advertisements in the back. Absalom ads. The Amazing Mr. Galarian. Captivator. I don't know what these are. It's under other shops. I wonder if these are yeah, it looks like they teach you new things. These are feats you can take. So it's almost like you can get trained in new feats or something. is how it's kind of put together, I guess. I don't know. Spell Trickster, Captivator. Maybe these are not. Maybe these are archetypes, and it just confused me. Yeah, they're dedication. So yeah, those are my bad. Those are literally just archetypes. I don't know what the Absalom ad was. Maybe it's just something for fun. Fruits of Research. The Wrestler. Here we go, guys. You can finally be a wrestler. I was talking to Luis Loza about a year ago, and he was talking about wrestlers and writing up wrestlers. That interview can be found on this channel, by the way. Louis, I should ask him to come on again and talk about some of these things, especially that book, because that's one of my favorites so far. Is that a reference for how high a level you must be to make the item? Honestly, I don't know. I should probably read it more. It matches with the green screen, so it actually went through parts of that dude's cloak. Oh, my bad. My bad. Yeah, Pathfinder's doing a great job, though. Like, for me, I think this is it. These, well, obviously not that. These, for me, really complete the set. Like, I feel like I have the core game now. And I do consider these core Pathfinder. I know most people would say that you don't need those, and you don't. But to me, those pretty much finish up the core set for me. And I think they've done a great job from what I've read. Again, I've read the most of Secrets of Magic. That book, when I got it in the mail, I started reading, and I was hooked. I was like, this is a great book. Guns and Gears showed up, and I was more excited just because I wanted, those classes if I was going to play Pathfinder. I haven't played Pathfinder in months, but I was like, I really want those. And so then I started digging in that. I was like, all right, they're there. I couldn't tell what changed from the playtest. But then it's got some really cool equipment. That's, to me, that book is really great for again, you got like wheelchair stuff. You got a lot of different types of guns. You got a couple gun blades, I think, in there. I still wish that they put a gunslinger class for gun blades. Like that, I wish that was one of the specialties you could do, under the gunslinger. There's nothing about that. You can use a gun in one hand and a sword in the other. And you could be very specialized in a few different ways, but there's nothing about gunslinger or gun blades, and there's no feats that are about gun blades. And so I was just really bummed out about that, to be honest. But again, it's still a great book. I'm just going to have to make my own gun blade of some sort. I also had said I had hoped with the magic book that maybe there were like magical stones that allowed you to cast certain spells specifically just with a stone or an orb. I thought that would be cool. And they didn't put that in there. So not that I saw, at least. But then Grand Bazaar, to me, kind of, in my mind, is like this edition's version of Ultimate Equipment, kind of. Because you get a whole bunch of equipment. It's organized by a theme associated with each shop rather than what the actual items are. And you probably don't get nearly as much. I mean, this book is like half the size of Ultimate Equipment. Which most of their Lost Omens books have been thinner than their previous edition books. So, which is fine. I still like the writing in them. It's been really enjoyable to sit down and read bits and pieces here and there. But yeah. I'm glad that there was more positive feedback because it looked a little hazy at the start. A lot of people just generally upset and mongering about. Oh, what were people saying about the books? People weren't a fan? I think they're great. I just wish I could find more people to play. Like, I wish I could find someone to run Pathfinder for me. That's what I wish. I wish I could find someone to run it. I could probably piece together some people to play, but yeah. And maybe when Nexus is out in a few months, maybe that's when, we can really dive in and start playing it a little bit more on the channel. That would be cool. Either way, I'll make some characters. Nexus will make it really quick and easy too. I used there was an app that they put out that I didn't use. My wife used it for a character she was playing in our game, and Dave from Nerdarchy used it in my game that I ran, and some other people as well. When Pathfinder 2 announced that they were coming out, there was Oh, see, I never picked up on any pushback. Everyone I talked to was excited about these books. I do know a lot of people wanted the Gunslinger in the core book. That one I do know. As for the Summoner, Magus, and the Inventor, I don't remember. Again, I don't remember a lot of pushback. I know the playtests got mostly positive, but some mixed reviews on both of those. I thought there was some really cool things in both of the playtests. They didn't make any of the changes I had hoped for, and that's probably why I didn't notice anything different, because the other stuff all was fine to me. I also, in Guns and Gears, the playtest, there were some anime style things that I know a lot of people thought was a little bit cartoonish, but I think it's great. I think Pathfinder is meant to be over the top, and to me, like, for example, I know, like, the Owlcat Games has been making the video games, and they're more RPG turn-based, slower paced. I feel like Pathfinder would be better for like a button masher kind of game where you can like run around and do crazy shit, like shoot the ground, and like in Call of Duty Modern or Black Ops, you could like shoot the ground and like propel yourself further. That's a feat like that you can do in Guns and Gears. I wish even their video games were more button masher rather than trying to recreate this into the video game, like the mechanics of it into the game. But yeah, it was steady for a while with a lot of comparison to the similarities with Fifth. I'm not in either camp. Yeah, I don't think it. People are crazy if they think Pathfinder Second Edition is anything like D&D 5e. They're not even close to the same. And even if they were, I wouldn't have a problem with it because I like both games for different reasons. Happy and excited to see the new stuff coming up. Happy to dive into the new stuff. I'm looking at adopting 5e and moving my setting forward. Yes, so I'm big on homebrew. I'm working on my own stuff. I've been writing my own stuff. I've got a new patron game coming up. It's going to be on Sundays. We're going to play every other week. And I'm fleshing out a swampy region of my world, actually, for that game. So I'm pretty excited about that because I love doing my own world building. And yeah, anytime I can get inspiration from things. And I'm getting a ton of inspiration from books like this. I've been looking at other books as well from other game systems. And again, I'm getting a lot of inspiration. We've got so much stuff coming in over the next month from different companies. With the holidays coming, I'm going to be coming up with some different holiday guides for people. I'm going to do a few videos for a few different things. And hopefully I can help you guys who are a fan of the channel see, a variety of games and what they're putting out. And I can give recommendations to help a variety of you find what you're looking for. Because, again, I have 5e fans on the channel. I've got Pathfinder fans. I've got old school fans. And so being able to share my thoughts on a variety of things to help you guys out and what I think you're going to want this holiday season is going to be huge. So we're going to have Christmas guides, or holiday guides as I'm calling them, coming up in about a month. So hopefully everything will be here by Thanksgiving. Hopefully everything's here well before then, because again, I would love to get those videos out before Thanksgiving, because that's typically when people really go shopping. So, but yeah, I love world building. I am not good at explaining world building, I've found. I love to talk about it, but more about my own homebrew stuff rather than like how to do it. I get inspiration from all over the place. I get ideas here, I tweak them, and usually I make drastic changes. I might get an idea from a setting, say like the movie Snowpiercer. Well, I don't have trains in my setting at this time. However, that's something I do want to put into my world. I do want to incorporate some technology into my world. I had players a while back talking about, well, do you have trains and stuff? And it was like, well, no, but I did just see Snowpiercer, and I kind of want to work in an area of my world that's really dangerous for some reason, and maybe the way to travel around is just by train. And then you could do some stuff with that. Maybe there's like safe zones where people can get on and off the train. Maybe there's a whole bunch of people that are stuck on the train and can't get off of it because they are the ones that fuel it somehow or whatever. So I'm playing with that idea a little bit. I've also been talking about, again, guns in my world. In my world, there are guns. However, they are extremely rare. And that's because of how powerful they are, but how expensive also it is to make and get ammunition for them. So I'm still trying to work that in there. I've not let players have those yet. But I have, when it's come up as a question, I have said, yes, they are in the world, but no, none of the shops you know of actually sell anything pertaining to them. And none of my gaming groups have come across anybody wielding them against them either. So I've thought about just taking it and saying, hey, look, you know, you got magical guns that don't really, they're arcane charged. And so it takes like an artificer or somebody like that to charge the weapon and use it. And things like that. So I'm entertaining some ideas. We have similar mindsets there. I'm better at making settings for tabletop RPGs than I am at making tabletop RPGs. So I feel like I'm really good at coming up with systems, like rules. The problem is I have not sat down and completed anything I've made, but I've had a lot of great ideas, I think, for rule settings or rule systems. I just haven't finished them. I struggle, I think, with explaining world building because of my own intelligence. I think my own intelligence is not as high as I wish it was. You know, I need to read more, I think, so I get a better vocabulary. That's what it comes down to. Yeah, I don't know how to make a book, but I can create a buttload of stuff that you could definitely make a book out of. So I organize all my notes. In fact, you know what? I know we're off topic a little bit, but I'm going to pull up something. I love sharing this stuff. So I'm going to pull up my homebrew world. And I usually only share this with patrons, which, by the way, if you want to be a patron, head on over to our Patreon. Links are in the description to all of our different social media. So let me find. I have a lot of stuff that I am always working on. I have my own setting that I'm working on, which I'm going to share with you. I have a couple different game systems I'm working on. I'm always working on random roll tables. I just released a D100 random encounter table for superhero games this past week. And I also put out, here we go, Adventures in Thakos. So this is my homebrew world, and I organize everything first, right? So this is my table of contents. It actually works. Like if I click on a section, it'll actually go there. It says I'm at 13 pages. I've got tons of stuff all over the place. Yeah, it is still 13. Okay. But this is my organization. I got introduction, so I'm going to type up a whole couple pages about what Thakos is my thoughts there. I'm then going to go into the gods, because I think that's a very important section to put at the front, since my world was shaped by the gods in my world. Then I get into the ages, or the history, right? So then before the gods, old gods, birth of the new gods, rise of tech, rise of magic, and darkness ascending, which is where we are right now in my world. The idea right now is that you have a lot of evil, whether it's coming up from the past, maybe some historical tombs and artifacts have been uncovered, and now you have evil that is starting to rise up in the world. Then it's organized by geographic locations, so City of Enchantment, nation where magic is illegal. Those right now, the nation where magic is illegal is right now nameless. I don't have a name for that yet. But then I get into the regions that I've actually named and played games in. So I have run campaigns and one-shots in these different areas. The Singing Isles right here, that's where one of my characters is from in our patron game. And he has come up with some lore for that area that I might work into that. Not sure how much of it is actually going to make the final cut, but I did like it, and I did want it to be relevant to how his character is in our campaign. So you'll probably get more of that from our campaign. I then get into monsters and animals, where I list my homebrew monsters and animals for my setting, such as mountain bears, stick bugs that are like parasites, things like that. Factions, notable NPCs, the realm of heroes, where I list all my old adventuring parties that have played in my world. So you can see here's like the gods of magic, gods, It has nothing to do with magic. I don't know. I might have to change it. Right now it says gods and magic. I'll probably get rid of the magic part. But yeah, those are all the gods. Boom, boom, boom. I need to list out all the old gods. I've only done a little bit there. And then the other gods I need to also mention. Those would be like just lesser known gods. Different ages. I need to flesh that out with the history. I haven't done that yet. A lot of this stuff I do have written. I've come up with this stuff in the past, in past campaigns. And again, here is my binder. This is a 1.5-inch binder, thick, of game notes from previous one-shots and campaigns and maps and just everything. I just need to take the time and just take some papers, add them in here where it's relevant, and then get it in here. I just haven't done that yet. That will be happening. It's a slow process, but I have not actually sat down to write this in a little bit. But yeah, so then I got some different cities here. Again, I know all about these cities. These are all in that our Patreon game. So again, I know all about this stuff. I just need to get it written. Kratos, the Dwarven Territories. Again, I've ran a campaign in all of these places. The Pine Run region. So I ran a campaign there for 2 years. You know, Pine Run was the home base of my player characters. And Pine Run Point was where a temple of elementals, the different elements was. Sandstrom was where a bunch of monster races were enslaved and they were, being freed by a drow and my player characters. Temple of Elements actually is at Pine Run Point, so I might just work that under there. Eagle View, Chitin, all that stuff. Serpent Sands, I didn't run a game there. We were going to. It just never happened. The Singing Isles is the stuff that was written up by the one patron. Stonehall Kingdom, I've ran 3 campaigns in that region. So, again, I know that area very well. This was actually the premise of the start of 2 of those campaigns. Vulcar Kingdom is what we played for about a year on the channel here. So I've got that as well. Different monsters. I have a bunch more monsters too in another document. Different factions right here. These were all, these right here were in different ones. So Keystone Cultist was like this tavern that was like 3 stories in between 2 mountains, and it had a bridge to it. And at the bottom, it had an opening. So at nighttime, the people that inhabited this tavern would kidnap anyone who was staying at their inn and then take them down to the bottom and drop them down for a giant, not dragon, just more like a lizard that would jump up and eat them, that lived down below in a cave. So that ended up being a thing. Crusaders Against Magic again. These are all just different factions in my world. TikTok Allied Soldiers is the working name. I got to come up with a better name for them. But basically, that's inspired by users on TikTok. Notable NPCs. Balthazar was from our Pathfinder campaign. I asked if I could use his character as a mainstay in my world. I might even make him a lesser-known god in my world, to be honest. Crank, the Metal Construct Mage, is from our Tyranny of Dragons game. That is a character that was once a player's character that went evil, so I have put him in here. And then Stan Picklesby was a merchant that was in that campaign that died at the hands of Crank. Or did he? And then the Realms of Heroes. These are all player groups that I've had. So the Blackrock Adventures is my current campaign that is homebrew every 4th Saturday. The Fellowship of Rock is not a player character group, but that is a bunch of dwarven bards. The Kraken Crew was the Vulcar Kingdom campaign. The Pine Run 7 is that group. And the Saviors of Stonewall was the original campaign I had in the Stonehall area. Then I got a magic items section under the appendix and stuff like that. Rules. So again, my stuff is going to stay system neutral, but if I do add anything in the rules, it will be more like how to create such and such for this, certain things. So, I always organize things kind of like if it was a book. That's how I like to do it personally. So yeah. But I got a lot of other stuff too. If you guys are ever interested, I'll show you. I will go through it for days, man. Oh, sweet. What a treat. I love it. Wonderful. Exactly how I've done mine. See, there you go. Physical notes. Damn it. Have to reset the router. Be right back. Hey, no problem. Maybe I'll show you guys something else here. So I love showing off this stuff anyway. So maybe I'll show you guys something else I've done. I call this, right now, this is the working name, Balthasar's Thaco Discoveries. Or Thacos Discoveries. I'll show you guys that. And I will show you... Where is the other... I have a D20 system I was working on, but I think I'm going to rework that so it's not a D20 system anymore. And then I have something on my computer I won't show right now. But, yeah, let me pull these up. So there's that. And I'm only comfortable showing this because, again, I know this will never see the light of day. I'm not real worried about it. But this is 56 pages right now. 56 pages. So I'll probably just show you the table of contents. So introduction with character stats, energy and hit points, armor class, features, hindrances, how to play the D20 Juce system as I was calling it at the time, character creation, choose your race, class, occupation, and your background, and then personality traits. So with this, though, when you choose a race, unlike other games, you don't get a bunch of stuff. You literally get to choose like a thing or two. You'll get an item, and you'll also get like a feature. So like, for instance, if you chose a dwarf, you could either roll for it or choose, depending on what the game master would want you to do. And the options would be things like dark vision maybe, or weapon proficiency with axes, weapon proficiency with hammers, resistant to poison, like all these would be different options. And you don't just get them all, you get to choose one. And as you level up, you might get to choose another one later on. So that's what you would get from that. Class, very similar. You get to choose like one thing from your class as it pertains to like a feature of that class. You also get to choose one item that is associated with that class. So as a dwarf, you might have taken an axe as a weapon as your race. As a class, you might choose a shield because you're a fighter. So now you have a shield and a weapon. You don't have any armor, though. Maybe as a blacksmith background, you have an anvil, So maybe as a weapon, you took a hammer, and then you have an anvil and a hammer now, and you can make things, But you get like 3 items, and then you get like 3 features at first level. And the idea is at first level, you are literally just a commoner who has a little bit of a head start on becoming an adventurer. You're not exceptional yet. You are the true definition of a 0. You might be able to do some really cool stuff depending on what your options were, but you're not going to be slaying dragons at first level. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I envisioned that personally. So yeah. Let me read what you got here. So this is a great little template you have here. I wish I actually had a template. I don't. But I do start putting things in there, and then I use headers and stuff, and then create a table of contents so I can make it flow how I want it to. Reading Dragon Grin hooked me when they gave you heritage options. It was game-changing for me, quite literally. I've never read Dragon Grin. Never read it. All right, so then you get the species, race, heritage, ancestry. I don't know what to call them yet, but that's what I have it for there. In this, I had dwarves, elves, and see, I had listed different things you could get under them. So elven racial feature options, all sorts of different things, like favored enemies even. I'm playing with the idea of halfling, human, orc. Yeah, and then the other thing, too, about my stuff, every single race can be a half race, but you're not just a half orc. You might be half orc, half elf. So If you're half something, you're half of two things. And then that means you can choose when it comes time to like choose a racial thing, you can choose from either one of those. So, yeah. But with doing that, I think certain things are going to be restricted. Like if you're half of each, you can't necessarily do some things. Like some things I might just make off limits. So then for classes, I put down cleric, fighter. I was going to do domains. Yeah, things like that. But yeah, cleric, druid, fighter, paladin, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, wizard. And then backgrounds, I put in blacksmith, carpenter, knight, stonemason, noble, pirate, religious, which, you know, I could put clergy. I could change that. Sailor and scholar, and then personality traits. I kind of stole the 5e template for flaws, goals, ideals, passions, quirks kind of deal. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Because for me, that is alignment. Screw the 6 different alignments. Throw that out the window. I think personality traits are far more useful, personally. I just think it's better. So then I get into general features that you don't need to, like, they're just open to everybody. Racial features, obviously you get it from your race. Class features, you get from your class. And then equipment section, spell casting. In my setting, in my rules, I want gem magic of some sort. Here's how I deal with different rules. Again, this is still just the table of contents. And you can see I wrote enough to be up to like page 50. So... and this is a 56-page document. Different skills. At the time of this, we were going with 6 attributes just because it's commonly known, easy to remember. Again, this was a D20-based system. I think I'm going to tweak it. I think I'm going with 10 attributes. I don't know, because I've got multiple ideas for different systems. This is just the one I wanted to do originally. But yeah. So, anyways, we got way off topic here. Way off topic. The other thing I was talking about from my homebrew world is this document, though. Balthazar's Thakos Discoveries. New PC options, Dragon, Harpies, Pixie. Mysterious Monsters. I got an Ash Monster. I use this as a template for the Demon Deer. Because someone posted that in my Discord and inspired me. Druid Lich, the Bedazzlefly, or Dazzlefly, Glitterfly, Sparklefly, Shimmerfly. Haven't decided yet. And that is also a parasite that'll basically like latches onto the back of your neck or your head and takes you over. Grazens, which are shriveled apes. They're like really shriveled apes, like anorexic apes. Hellfire, Spotted Cat, Hypnoid, Long Snout, or some might call them tusks, are elephant humanoids, or maybe like woolly mammoth humanoids. A Message Bird, Moss Monster, Mountain Bear, Octodon, Octonoid, Quadrahorn race tails with and without. So basically those are these like creatures that'll have, or a race that you could play that has like 4 horns. So it has 2 like this and maybe 2 more out the back. But the idea is they have quad horns. And some have tails, some don't. They're kind of like tieflings, but not really. In my thing, they're strong. They have nothing to do with magic. They're big and they'll butt heads. Like they'll use their horns as weapons and stuff. A Squidinoid, Stickbug Parasite, Stone Pony, Rock Sting, or Stone Sting. I haven't figured out what I'm going to call it. Tadpole Hemoths, Wildfire Fox, Windhawk, Wind Wyvern, Winged Earwigs, which I stole from our Cthulhu game. And then I get into like magic items, so I got a bunch of different names for those. None of these I've written up for this, but some of them have been used in games, and so I have write-ups in this blue folder. And then unique tails, which are kind of like adventure hooks. And then mundane items, so arm blades, gun blades, rockhouse spinach, musk ox stomach grass, which came from a previous game. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. Those are all my little ideas that I'm working on, you know? Oh, sweet, weapon groups. Oh, for sure. I've destroyed so Saran metaphorically, and started a new setting with it called Wrath, moving on to 5e as well. Yeah, 5e is great. I like all systems. Pathfinder, this is about Pathfinder. I do think that Pathfinder gives you a lot of player options, and so I love the idea of incorporating a lot of stuff from their books, whether it's in systems or setting stuff. I really enjoy it. And I think a lot of cool equipment came from the Guns and Gears and the Grand Bazaar book. In your world, was there a war between the elves and dwarves like in most games? So in mine, not really. In my world, it was literally a war between gods. So it also depends on the area. My world's a large world, so all the stuff that has happened in my world is regional based. So what I say generally isn't a thing. Like, I don't have hatred between elves and dwarves. I don't necessarily have hatred between dwarves and orcs or anything like that, generally. In some areas I do, like the Orcs Arrow Peninsula, orcs are evil. The dwarves are just north of them, but there's eastern dwarves and western dwarves just above the orcs. And the eastern dwarves don't like the western dwarves, whereas the western dwarves have been known to work with the orcs to attack the eastern dwarves. And then just north of those two dwarves that are split by what I call the Savage Mountains, I have a human settlement called Elda, and then I have a forest that's called the Ancient Forest, and the Ancient Elves live there. And they're very segregated. So the dwarves, elves, and humans are segregated, but the eastern dwarves and the humans, at least, are allies. The elves kind of stay to themselves. Just east of those elves, though, they are feuding with pirates. I have a place where a bunch of pirates have set up shop on the shore. They've started a city, and they cut down the woods all the time. They travel in there and just cause all sorts of problems. So those elves are always battling them. There's just tons of conflict in this area going all sorts of different directions. But really, again, I don't have general hatred in my setting between races. In some areas, there is, though. So if you wanted to play a game like old school D&D, that would probably be your best area for that. Whereas I have other areas where they're very commingled, and I have things like Dragonborn and stuff that are nobles, and they mingle with elves and dwarves and stuff like that. So it just depends, all over the place. But no, I don't have necessarily like an elf duel or elven dwarf war. I see exploding dice like in Savage Worlds. Yes, I like exploding dice. But no wild die or anything like that. I don't like that in Savage Worlds. Skills are probably one of the things I'll miss the most. I really enjoyed them in the Palladium system. I don't like how the skills are in Palladium, to be honest. To me, there's too many specific skills. The arms on the head, I love it. Yeah, it was a pretty wild picture. I like the skills from Palladium as well. D&D seems like too general for knowledge skills. I mean, D&D characters can almost do anything. So I think you should have, on the character sheet, you should have all general skills. I think if you want a player to be able to do something specifically, like brain surgery, so let's say you have a basic medicine skill, and you have a player who wants to try to do brain surgery, you should literally ask, are you a surgeon? If there is nothing in their background or occupation that says surgeon, they shouldn't be able to do it. If they do have that in their background, the difficulty number should be high, and they should use their medicine skill. That's it. That's my thoughts on using general skills and having specialized skills. And I think you could apply that to any game system personally. That's how I would do it. To me, that would basically be like using tool proficiencies, right, in 5e. You can't do something that is really difficult without a specific background or specific tools, or sometimes both. So, yeah. This makes me want to enter NaNoWriMo. You should do it, and I should too. I own so much Pathfinder stuff. I love Pathfinder. Sorry, Lee, I do not mean to be saying 5e all the time. No, it's fine. It's a natural thing. They are the top fantasy games. Again, I talk about 5e all the time on the channel. I run a lot of 5e on the channel. I play Pathfinder, Palladium. I have played Savage Worlds. I am all about love for all game systems. The only reason why I keep it on Pathfinder is because this video is basically about that. And rather than doing pre-recorded videos on these things, I just wanted to do a live stream about it. But we're at the end, and I'm okay talking about just whatever. Totally understand, but most DMs don't use your logic. Too many just say roll the dice. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. Why roll dice if something's impossible? Or why roll dice if something is you can't fail, right? So, again, the rules, I think, aren't set up the way that I think they should be. I have talked about what I would like to see change in Palladium. I want a more generalized skill set. I don't want to spend an hour looking at skills with a new player to help them build a character. I want them to give me, I want them to have a concept, be able to make their character looking at the general skills and everything, and then explain the rules to them. I don't want to have to go, oh yeah, you're never going to use your chemistry skill, or, because we're not playing a game that has anything to do with stuff like that, or whatever, There's just too many, and it's very specific. It's too much. It's a waste of space on a character sheet. You run out of room writing all the skills, and most of the skills you'll never use in a campaign or a one-shot or any of that. So that's my opinion on the Palladium thing. Again, I love Palladium. I've got Palladium books right here on my desk. Garden of the Gods. I can't stop reading that book. I love that book right now. I'm with you, Woolworth. I actually enjoy the concept of specializations and having that represented through character skills. Yeah, see, I think it should be represented as its own thing. If you want a military specialist, right? Like somebody who's a specialist with explosives, a regular person, no matter what, is not capable of building bombs and blowing shit up, right? Like if I were to go to a high school right now and I pulled all 300 kids in the senior class, not one of them could actually create a bomb, I bet. Maybe one, right? That is a specialization. So then you would get that specialization. And again, it doesn't even have to be spelled out as a specialization. It could literally be, yeah, my guy was in the military and his MOS was a explosives expert. As long as that part is known, then the GM can run with it. And now you can make bombs using your intelligence score or your wisdom score or whatever the hell you want them to use. I think that's how I think games should be set up, personally, moving forward. Although if you want it quantified with specific rules, then again, you could do it as a specialization. But again, it would be more like in D&D 5e where you write in your tool proficiency. So under specializations, you would write in, airplane mechanic. Now, not only can they fly planes, they could probably work on planes, whatever. Or you could write in those couple things. But you don't need all of it. I think general skills, and then you add in the specialization in a small section. And only get 2 or 3 specializations or specialized skills. Think about it. How many Palladium characters have you guys created where you literally take boxing, acrobatics, a bunch of weapon proficiencies? There's not really much difference between those weapons in some instances, So that's my take on that. Again, I know not everyone's going to agree. Sorry. My mom's in the hospital and she messaged me. And I see it flashing, so I had to respond. I'd like to see a more general list of skills where you can specialize yourself. What do you mean, Woolworth? Maybe to go with your example of medicine. Medical, first stage, first aid. Second stage, general medicine, then doctor, either 3 spec or 5 specs. Well, why couldn't you just literally have it as a medical skill that you get to add your bonus, and then based on your specialty, if your person's a nurse, that's different than a brain surgeon. The GM, rather than having a set oh, you're a 1st tier through 5th tier, whatever, because now again, you're getting into a really crunchy system, because now you have to define each of those tiers. Why not just say the brain surgeon can do pretty much anything, with a relatively easy check, But when they get into the actual brain surgery, it's a moderate check. Whereas a nurse or anybody below that is just not going to have to make a check at all because they're not going to be able to do it. Or they could do it and they really need to like succeed, right? Like high. But most of them won't be able to do it. Because like even a nurse who witnesses a ton of brain surgeries, they might be able to do it, you know? Like, because they're in and around it all the time. But most of the time they can't. Correct, Mapronomicon. All chefs are cooks, but not all cooks are chefs. 100% agree. That does not mean, though, that a lot of cooks can't cook a gourmet chef level, chef tier meal, though. I think the doctor thing is the easiest one to be specific about. It's kind of like this. I'm not a mechanic, but if you give me tools and enough time, I can fix my car. But I'm not a mechanic. I've never even taken any formal training. I grew up in a single parent household where I didn't even have an adult teach me that stuff. I just am mechanically inclined. So again, general would work for that. You would have to decide what types of things, though, are more specific. And then I think, again, so you don't get too crunchy with a system, you have to put in your rules that the GM needs to use discretion if something could be done by a savant rather than somebody who has actually taken years of training and stuff. And I think you would define it as, could a normal person do brain surgery? Not 100% of the time. No, they could not. Could a brain surgeon? Yes. You know, but like a car mechanic might know enough, or even some, I wouldn't say I would, but a lot of people might be able to diagnose a problem with like an airplane and maybe fix it, but it's going to be very difficult without the tools because now you need the tools to also do it. Like even a brain surgeon can't do brain surgery without the correct tools. They're going to kill somebody with a butter knife, you know? But I don't like crunchy. I don't want a game that has way too many things in it, personally. It's just a barrier of entry that makes it difficult to get into. And that's why, coming full circle, Nexus for Pathfinder Second Edition is going to be awesome. Pathfinder Second Edition is a little bit crunchy. It's not the crunchiest system out there, but it's enough that some people it is a barrier of entry for. And some people don't like it because of how crunchy it is. I personally like the system, especially as a player, and I just need people to run it for me. Everyone has Medicine 1, but doctors need Medicine 5 or whatever. Yeah, I just don't like a tiered thing like that because you're going to have to now apply that to everything, and then you have to define what each tier is. I don't like that. You can choose to level up certain skills however you'd like rather than it being a complete... See, because here's the other thing. I don't think at that point you should ever level a skill. It should literally be you have to spend downtime training for years to move up those tiers. That's not training. Like, that's not like, oh, I leveled up, I get another tier of this thing. You know what I mean? Like you have medicine and doctor as a role. It would just be, is your medicine rank 3 or whatever. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I just don't think I like that. I'm sorry. I don't think that floats my boat. You know? Oh, yeah. I don't know. I like simpler systems. It's my preference for sure. I like 5e a lot. It's super easy to run, and that's why I enjoy DMing it. However, there are things about that rule system that are too simple. I like advantage and disadvantage. I think it applies to far too many things, you know? I would like if a lot of spells and even conditions, rather than granting advantage and disadvantage, had a specific number associated, and then somehow on top of it, you could get advantage and disadvantage. So advantage and disadvantage, I think, is fine for like a quick ruling. I don't like it associated so much and heavily ingrained inside the rules. And to me, that's what makes 5e a little bit lesser. And then I wish you had more options with character creation. And I wish 5e had character creation like this game. That's what I wish. I wish you could choose feats and stuff. I wish you could, rather than taking everything from a ranger, you could pick and choose what you took from the ranger, you know? That's what I like. Building a ranger out to feel unique from the other ranger in your party. That's what I love. Like you would, I already read that, to each his own. Yeah, I get it. I know not everyone agrees with me. So I guess part of my thing, so I think your system, Mapronomicon, I could enjoy playing. I feel like, I'm going to say something controversial here. Game systems are overrated. And what I mean by that is I think it comes down to your gaming group. If you have a great group and the system doesn't get in the way of you guys having fun, you're going to have a great time. It's when systems get in the way of a great group having fun that's a problem. So I've played a variety of game systems with a variety of people. And again, the thing I've found is that if the system is a little bit easier or lighter, it's less likely to get in the way of role-playing, personally. And, for example, we are playing Achtung Cthulhu at the moment, rather than our Pulp Cthulhu and Call of Cthulhu. We're using the Achtung Cthulhu. I like Achtung Cthulhu. There are a couple things in that game that pull me out of it. For example, when we're told to roll, we're told a difficulty. So now we need to figure out, okay, how many resources can we spend to roll more dice? I'm not thinking about role play with that. I'm literally thinking, okay, of a number on a sheet of paper, and then what are my skills? Okay, that's a lower skill, so now I need to buy an extra die because I'm less likely to succeed. I'm thinking about mechanics. When I'm thinking about mechanics, I'm not thinking about role play. I'm not thinking about story, and that gets in the way of my fun in Achtung Cthulhu. Again, I think it's a good system. I think Modiphius makes amazing games. But that, for me, takes me a little bit out of it. Not a problem. It's just more strategy then. It's more of a game than role-playing to me. And it's still a role-playing game, but it's just there's more gamey aspects, or at least they're so prominent that it, again, can be distracting. I do feel that way with Pathfinder a little bit. Some of the conditions and how I have to keep track of them wearing off over time, and that is something that can get in the way at times. So if and I haven't yet, but if I'm running a homebrew thing, I'm probably going to house rule that because I don't want that to be in the way for my enjoyment as the one running the game. But for example, there are some great things in the system that I wish like 5e did. I wish 5e had the way resistances and vulnerability works in Pathfinder. I love how it's done in Pathfinder, being like a fire resistance 4 rather than just, it's half damage to fire. I love how Pathfinder does it. It's great. Brilliant. It's so brilliant. I can't believe that, 5e didn't do it. It's just so, it seems so simple and common sense on the surface to me. And I love it, But yeah, like Savage Worlds is the same thing. In theory, Savage Worlds on paper, I thought it was a really awesome game. I bought a bunch of books for it. I was playing it for a while, and I kept thinking, okay, eventually it'll just click, and I'm just going to like it. But I always find myself thinking about the rules or the mechanics. For example, rolling the dice, okay? You're rolling 2 sets of dice, and you have to keep track as they're exploding of the 2 different numbers you have. Again, I'm not thinking about roleplay and what it means in the roleplay sense for me. I'm thinking about the numbers. It just takes me out of it. It's just that little bit that pulls me out. Or even the cards for initiative. I don't like the cards for initiative. I hate the cards, the deck of cards. And then you got bennies. So again, you're spending resources that, again, for me, I'm not thinking about roleplay. I'm thinking about that. Same inspiration I forget about all the time in 5e. Which doesn't matter, doesn't hurt the game at all. But for some reason, inspiration does not get in the way for me as much as like bennies do, I don't know why. I think bennies are really important in Savage Worlds, that's why. Whereas inspiration can be important, but it's not like a big deal if you use it or not most of the time, Does that make sense? I think the other examples made a lot more sense, but when I'm explaining it. So yeah, I just don't want a game system that gets in the way of my role play when it comes down to it. Such a great stream, man, but I've got to jet. Good times. Hey, I love having you around, Mapronomicon. If you guys want to head over to my Discord and have these kinds of conversations, I'm more than happy to. Tomorrow, I will be on Nerdarchy at noon, so noon Eastern time. So Nerdarchy Live, go and subscribe to them if you want to see more conversations like this. In fact, I will probably pitch talking about some of this stuff because I like talking about it. But yeah, so anyways, I am going to get off here too because it's almost 11. I got a lot of stuff going on. But I love talking to you guys. I love chatting. I love having these types of conversations about mechanics, rules, homebrew stuff, world building, products, such as these awesome Pathfinder books. Again, I love these books. There's some really good lore. I do recommend picking them up, especially if you just like Pathfinder Second Edition, or if you like reading about mechanics, or you like reading about lore, you're going to like these books. So head on out and go pick those up. This was Master the Game. I am Juice. Game on.